Welcome back to Hoops HD, everybody. It is well past midnight on, I guess now it is actually Wednesday, March 13th. But this is day 9 of our Championship Week video notebook. I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. Got John Sleek over there, locked safely in the public puppet bunker, away from all uh, anyone and everyone who could possibly be near him is David Griggs.
It's very
Uh,
sleepy in here.
and this is the notebook where we tell everybody exactly and everything that happened today in college basketball, correct?
Yeah, everything. So if you missed everything that happened today, you're about to find out everything that happened.
Or
So,
in some
because,
cases in the coaching carousel, everything that's about to happen.
Right,
uh,
yeah.
and,
Nothing
and
official yet, but yeah.
for example, Griggs didn't watch any of the games tonight. He's just going to watch our show so that he can do the show,
Yeah.
so he could do our show tonight.
Right, I'm going to talk about them, but I didn't watch them.
Uh, yeah. Cool coaching news. Kenny Payne, unsurprised, not surprisingly, he is out at Louisville.
Did Louisville announce it?
It did not. It's being reported by sources across the college basketball universe, but
Yeah.
I don't believe it is 100% official yet. Will be
Well,
probably
unlike
tomorrow.
Utah State, at least they waited until he came home.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one
But in
Utah
case
State
you
women's
hadn't,
head coach, that was awful, awful. They fired her before the press conference even, and she announced her that she was fired during the press conference, basically in tears. And
Yeah.
it was poor class. It could have waited the next day, really.
Yeah, exactly. So
Um. Anyhow, there's the Papa Bunker. Everything's still safe.
I
Let's
need
so
out
should we
of
get the
here,
game?
Chad.
No.
Yes.
Um,
I can't. I
let's
can't. How am I going to cover all of the, like, I need to get to Vegas
let's
for,
start off in Vegas. Tonight was
yeah.
West Coast Conference Championship game between Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and while it was not going to affect who's in or who's out of the field, could have some effect on seedings, and it did have tons of bragging rights here, and it was a pretty good game. Stalika, what'd you think?
well, from what I've seen, this is going to be the first time in the 21st century that Gonzaga is neither going to win the regular season nor the tournament crown in the WCC. So,
Is
congrats to the Gales for actually getting the double for a change.
is this the year they win it all then? Gonzaga.
Winning all the WCC, yes.
Yeah.
Gonzaga wins it all. Then that,
Yeah.
hey, they had been playing great up until this game here,
Yeah.
but St. Mary's had too much for 'em. Mitchell Saxon, that 19 points, 15 rebounds for the Gales. It was, uh, even though Gonzaga got back in the second half, it just
Yeah.
felt like the Gales game all night, Griggs.
It did. What was interesting? This was an intense game, and I know that this is a pretty big rivalry, so it's no surprise that it was. But as far as on paper, seeding list, resumes, I don't think it moved the needle that much. I think both teams pretty much are who they are, regardless of whether they won or lost. But you wouldn't know it watching this game.
But what
It,
was rather
it,
odd this year was St. Mary's won both in a road environment and a de facto road environment.
right?
The only
Yeah.
one they lost was at home.
Yeah.
Uh, it was also championship week night in four other conferences. We had total. This was an auto bid that was received now by St. Mary's. Four other auto bids got hidden out. Let's start off in the Coastal, which was probably the best of these championship games, at least arguably because it did go overtime. And Sliga, you did not think Stony Brook would give Charleston a game. I did not agree with you when you said that. Uh, for once, I was actually right, but but Griggs, Stony Brook had an incredible effort, playing 4 games in 4 days, all intense games. Took it to overtime,
Yeah.
but not quite enough.
Yeah, and beating two really good teams along the way just to get to this point. So, a really like impressive end of the season for Stony Brook, and it makes you kind of wonder if they can carry some of that momentum in the next year. I was with Staliga. I didn't think it would be that competitive, and it looked like for a while that every time it felt like Charleston had gotten control of the game or was getting control of the game, Stony Brook would make a run, including all the way through the overtime. And they had a chance. They had a possession with less than 10 seconds to go at the end of regulation and a chance to win it. They didn't get a shot up, but Stony Brook could have won this game. They almost did
If
win it.
I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but I believe Stony Brook had 15 threes in the game and Charleston 16. So both teams clearly scorching from outside.
Yeah, which is surprising when teams play their fourth game in 4 days like Stony Brook was, that they were able to hit the outside shots, and that's what kept them in here.
Yeah.
It was also championship week, championship night in the Horizon League. And how about some congrats to Greg Campy? We're finally getting him back into the NCAA tournament. He's come so close so many years. Uh, but this Oakland team, they won by 7. Sleeka, I thought they looked really, really good all night, though.
Yeah, Trey Townsend, the player of the tournament here, had 38 points for the Golden Grizzlies. But one of the things we got to hear during the telecast tonight is that Greg Campy actually babysat Townsend as a 4-year-old because his father actually played for Campy in Oakland earlier in his coaching career.
Yeah, he's been in Oakland for a while. I think he
40
might be.
years.
Yeah, I think he might be considering making this his career.
First time they've ever won the Horizon League. He's been in the tournament before, but not since they've been in this conference. So,
Yeah, they were
'cause-
previously in the Summit League, which was previously called, I think, the Midwestern Collegiate. So,
No, the Mid-Continent
or the
Conference.
Mid-Continent. Thank you.
this
Mid-Continent.
was the Midwestern Collegiate, the Horizon League.
Yeah, you're right. So, that's what I meant to say. You get confused locked in
Yeah,
the
this was
pumpkin.
the conference of Xavier, Butler, Loyola, Dayton for a while.
I think Marquette was in it.
They made more of a cameo in the league.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but Oakland, they're on the way back to the NCAA tournament. Another team on its way to the NCAA tournament is the Wagner Seahawks. And how about this? A team with only 7 healthy players, really only played a 6-man rotation, uh, win the conference tournament uh, on the road at Merrimack after they won on the road at Sacred Heart and on the road at Central Connecticut. Griggs, they're the 6th seed, but they proved they deserve this. They
Yeah,
beat the top 3 teams in the conference on the road
on the
for
road.
3
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
night days.
It was. It was sort of a remarkable run, and I mean, every round I was kind of expecting them to lose, but God, I mean, they just showed a lot of grit. I think they're almost assuredly on their way to Dayton. In fact, there's
Absolutely. Yeah.
a high chance that they'll be the 68th team on the seed list. But I mean, what an effort! And depending on who they get, it might be a game they can win.
Who knows here? It's
Yeah.
they they were up for most of this game. Salika, Merrimack made a huge run. They went on a 13-0 run to actually take the lead in the second half, but Wagner just responded and bounced back and found a way to win the game.
It took quite a bit of time just to make that run, though, because it seemed like for the longest time this score was stuck in the 40s for
Mhm.
a good chunk of the second half until Wagner finally pulled away in the closing minutes.
The last of our conference championships tonight was the Summit League, where for 30 minutes, South Dakota State looked like one of the greatest teams ever. They were
Yeah.
crushing Denver. In the last 10 minutes, Denver was the better team. They just didn't have quite long enough to come back and win and steal this game. They cut down, I
Yeah.
think, to 4 points at one point, Griggs. It
They
was
did.
amazing.
I want to say they were down by as much as 27 in the second half and got as close as 4. And I was just like, there's no way, is there? But they almost did it. But South Dakota State, the preseason pick, the team that we thought was the best all the way through, does get it done. They are going, probably around the 15-16 line, but the Jacks are back in it.
So congrats to South Dakota State. They're going to be dancing. We have a few more bids that we're giving out tomorrow. We had some semifinals today. Let's Actually, let's start with the bid that's not going to be given out tomorrow, though. It was semifinal day in the America East. That bid won't be given out till Saturday. But Stalika, Vermont got a little bit of an effort against New Hampshire, and while Lowell and Bryant was a really good game throughout.
This game was not quite as close as the Albany game had been, but Vermont had built enough of a comfortable margin that they were able to win somewhat comfortably, even though the final score was not indicative of it. Now, on the other hand, Bryant let this one get away, it seemed, because they had a lead for a good part of the second half before Lowell finally made a second half run, and they earned a right to advance to the title game for, I believe it's the third time in 4 years for the Riverhawks.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. They've never won it, but this is now, I believe, 3 out of 4 championship games that they've been in. So we'll see on Saturday morning if this can finally be their year that they pull off the upset and get in there. Although
Yeah.
I believe they're the team that were upset in the championship game in that game against Hartford a few years ago,
Yeah, they
which
were.
uh, but uh, but all the other times I think they've gone to Vermont and lost because Vermont just always wins this thing. Uh,
Unless
it
UMBC is involved.
Yeah.
unless UMBC is involved, yes. It was semifinal day in the Southland Conference, and as we knew what happened, McNeese absolutely destroyed Lamar. Wells had 27 points. They just look so good. But we had an overtime, good, really good overtime game, Griggs, between Corpus Christi and Nichols.
Yeah, I was impressed with Nichols. I thought Corpus Christi would not win as handily as McNeese did, but that they would win without having to sweat too much. A real impressive effort by Nichols. And they've looked good in both their games. And tomorrow they could play a really, really good game, Chad, and lose by about 20.
That's the question, Salika. Does Nichols have a shot to upset McNeese on their home floor and steal this bid?
They have a shot, but a very minute one.
Yeah, I just don't see it happen. I think this McNeese team clearly showed up today, and I think they're going to
Yeah.
clearly show. I think they're going to show up tomorrow. If anything, this
Yeah.
might have been the game today that they might have not really been paying too much attention to, but they did. They came out
Yeah.
right from the start and just dominated Lamar.
Yeah, we'll discuss them a little more tomorrow. Titel is saying they're a 13 seed, which is probably what they'll get, at least on paper. I think they're much, much better than that. Uh, you had alluded to it before, Chad, and I'm kind of with you. The thing about a 12 or a 13, I think it lines them up to where they could beat a 5 and a 4. This McNeese team is stupid good.
Yeah,
And
this is going
that's
to be a
not a
very
team that
dangerous.
someone like Auburn will be looking forward to,
Yeah,
for example.
right.
Um, we've got a couple more semifinals to get to, but we'll get back to them in a minute here. Let's go through a few of the other conferences. It was opening round day in the ACC
Riveting
today.
day of games.
Oh, it was opening round day, and Stalika, any thoughts on these three games where we saw Notre Dame, NC State, and Boston College all win?
Well, this was a merciful end of the season for Louisville that we touched on earlier, along with the Miami Hurricanes, whose nightmare of a season finally came to an end. Georgia Tech, I thought they would get past the Irish, but Notre Dame, this is the first win in quite some time that they've been able to win in the ACC outside of the Joyce Center.
I told you last night Notre Dame was winning this game. You didn't believe me. Um, Notre Dame got the win there. Miami Griggs ends the season on an 11 game losing streak. I mean, wow, what
Wow.
happened from Final Four to this? Uh,
Well, I kind of, I mean, you don't want to make assumptions, but I think that they just weren't quite as good down the stretch this year as they were a year ago.
ugh, so how
That
about
is inexplicable. I have no answer for that. I had picked them to get back to the Final Four this year. I think Larinaga is a Hall of Fame coach. I thought they had good players. I thought there were times this year where they looked really good, but not in the last 2 months. Good grief, what the hell?
how about tomorrow? We have Vatech, Florida State. Some people think Vatech might still have a bubble shot. Wake, Notre Dame, same thing. Syracuse, NC State, Clemson, team that's going to be in the field gets Boston College.
Yeah, that's my team to win this tournament. Clemson taking on Boston College.
Slika, any seeding upsets tomorrow in these four games?
Well, first of all, this is going to be Wake's last chance. They cannot afford to blow it against the Irish right here. Now, one team I do think could be poised to pull a potential upset, and this is going to go against what Greg said. Watch out for BC, who has
Ooh.
looked decent at times during the conference play, but we'll see if they have one more upset in them before it's time to
Holy
hang
cow.
up the shoes for the year.
Stalika calls a BC upset.
Wow.
I'm gonna go with the Notre Dame upset. How about that, Griggs?
Well, I'm with you on that one. I don't
Oh,
know how
really?
much of an upset it would really be, but come on. When it comes to the ACC, especially, when have I ever been wrong about picking good teams? Aside from saying Miami would get to the Final Four.
That's the ACC. The top four teams obviously don't get it away until Thursday, but we at least get some of the pretty good teams and a couple bubble teams here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Big 12, it was opening round day. UCF took care of Oklahoma State and Cincinnati to the extent that they may still have a slim outside shot at a at-large bid. They came roaring back against West Virginia. I thought the game was over when they were down 16, Sleeka.
Well, they also got a little bit of a help from a West Virginia team that just absolutely imploded in the second half.
Yeah.
When
Hold
I
on,
saw
technical.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
anytime Zach and the puppet are playing, is this bad on the email on the text thread? I'm like, okay, what happened now? And sure enough, 3 technicals and a UC team that actually managed to hit a number of 3-pointers for a change. It's amazing what can happen.
Um, yeah, they take on a Kansas team that is resting some of their key players.
Well, tickets
you
is
say,
actually hurt, is really hurt. McCullough is kind of resting. Yes.
yeah, you say that a slim chance. Let's examine that chance. It would involve beating Kansas and then beating Baylor and then probably beating Iowa State. If they can do that, yeah, I think that does
Well,
move
that's
them
what I'm saying.
all the
I'm
way
saying
up.
that there is an at-large chance. There is a chance that they do not get the automatic bid and still make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah, there is a chance. However,
They got to make it to Saturday.
they do.
And then
They
there's
do.
also a chance they can get the Texas A&M treatment from the committee.
That could happen too. I know you wouldn't mind, Sleeka. The other 3 games tomorrow, though: Texas, Kansas State, a Kansas State team that's got a little life in them. UCF, BYU, and UCF has pulled off quite a few upsets this year, and TCU, Oklahoma is probably 2 tournament teams facing each other in the not even in the pre-quarterfinal round.
Potentially, yeah. I think TCU. I'm kind of with you. I'm not really as sold on either one.
I think
I
they're
think
both
that
going to be
is
at the
a
end of the day.
massively important game.
Okay.
TCU better not be resting players in this one. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, okay, this is where I am, Chad. I think the loser of this is really sweating.
Especially, I think it's especially true for TCU because that strength of schedule is going to start really showing up with probably twice as many quad one losses as they have in terms of wins. That's going to be a little rough for TCU. BYU safely in the NCAA tournament. I don't think they're going to have I think they will take care of UCF. Watch out for K-State against Texas.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too.
All right. We got to disagree. That's the only way the show is any fun. Come on, Griggs.
Well, I think Texas has to watch out, but I think they will watch out, and I think they'll beat them.
No, I'm saying Kansas State's going to win this game.
No, they're not. They're not going to win. I just agree with you that Texas needed to watch out.
Stalika, A10 today. It was a fun day in the
It was a
A10.
Great fun day. Yeah, good deal for the price of the ticket today.
Yeah,
David
not
said-
bad considering they were decided by 8 points in overtime, by 1 point, and by 3 points. Of course, we've also had years where the A10 typically turns upside down, although I would not be expecting that going into Wednesday's games at least.
Yeah, the Davidson Fordham game. First of all, Davidson had a 13-point lead in the second half. Fordham came storming back, got the overtime win. Almost shut Davidson out in the overtime. They got 2 free throws with 10 seconds left for their only overtime points.
Yeah.
That's how strong Fordham finished this game here. LaSalle, I believe GW had a couple shots late. Rhode
Yeah, they
Island had a
did.
couple chances late also in both those games at the last seconds. Could not get the conversion to force the game to go on.
Mhm.
But what about tomorrow, Griggs? George Mason St. Joe's, VCU Fordham, the Bonnies LaSalle, Duquesne St. Louis.
I actually think it's an interesting day. We might be in for another entertaining day. Joe's had, while they were disappointing down the stretch, they certainly had their moments. They nearly won at Kentucky. They did have some other big wins. They beat Villanova. They were a team that was inside our bubble a couple times, albeit very early on. And then Tony Skinn has done reasonably well. I just think that that's a good game. I think VCU moves on. And St. Bonaventure, LaSalle, don't have a lot to say about that one. Duquesne was a little disappointing, at least to me. I had high expectations. I think they could have been a dark horse in this league. But St. Louis, I guess the question is, will we get a third Arch Baron Cup?
That's what I was going to say. That's the big one because if St. Louis could pull off the upset, we get Arch Baron Cup in the quarterfinal round.
Yeah, and There's conferences, if that happens, are making contingency plans to not be playing while Dayton and St. Louis are playing.
They're going to cancel the ACC and the Big 12
Yes,
games that night.
right.
Absolutely. Stalika, thrilling game tonight. It actually wasn't that bad of a game. Jacksonville State and Florida International. FIU came storming back late and really was a lot closer to the final score in this game tonight.
The environment was a little more packed than I thought it would be. Granted, we're also talking about I guess, a new place in Huntsville where Conference USA is hosting, which is kind of interesting because I don't think Jacksonville State's really that close to Huntsville as far as distance, but I suppose Middle Tennessee, some proximity to the area, but it'll probably be short-lived joy because I do not see the FIU getting past Sam Houston tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got two quarterfinals tomorrow, but I think I think they missed a chance to brand this. This is Rocket City madness here, is it not?
Yeah, I know. I mean, Conference USA, it's not surprising they miss out on something like that.
They're calling it Rocket City hoops. This is Rocket City madness here. That's what we're going to call it.
Right.
We got two quarterfinals tomorrow: the Sam Houston FIU game and the Louisiana Tech Middle Tennessee game. Uh, I think the top two seeds advance easily, though, Griggs.
Yeah, I do too.
So this is Rocket City Madness. Does the winner of this tournament play Toledo in a play-in?
Yes, they do.
Of course they do.
I mean that's easily decided there. I'll tell you what, we've got a few more games that going on, honestly, as we record this, that are almost going to go final. So let's start doing a little bit of previewing tomorrow, then we'll come back. Would you mind if we do things a little backwards tonight?
Yeah, the Big Sky did go final.
It has, well, it hasn't quite gone final on the screen. Let's,
Okay.
let's go to the Big Sky. Let's see if the scores will come up here. You see, the score did not populate, Greg. So
well, I don't want to spoil it for you. Montana did win.
Okay.
Oh wait, it's not even over, but they're up by 17 with 30 seconds. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Let's, like I said, listen to see what happens when we let Griggs control the podcast. Tomorrow night
basically a final
is the Patriot League Tournament Championship game. We'll get back to the Big Sky in a minute, but this is one of three championship games tomorrow night, along with the Southland and the Big Sky that we'll get to in this moment. Colgate and Lehigh. Stalika, what do you think? Can Lehigh go on the road and pull off the huge upset of this conference over Colgate?
Also consider Lehigh has already beaten number 3 Lafayette and number 2 Boston University. I'd like to think Colgate has been scared straight, and I do think they'll ultimately prevail, but I can see Lehigh giving the Raiders a huge scare in this one.
Are you picking it?
I am picking Colgate.
Griggs, what do you think about tomorrow's
I'm picking Colgate. I realize they had to sweat a little bit in the semis. I'm picking them to win comfortably.
We tease it a bit. I'll go back to the Big Sky game. Not quite final yet, but it is currently, with 20 seconds left, Montana is up comfortably over Idaho State. So pretend it says Montana there. Montana State, Sac State, though, Griggs. This was a good game tonight. Montana State was out early, but Sac State came storming back, and they really had their chances in this one.
Yeah,
this is the dead last place team, dead last.
Yeah, it was. For its preposterous, it looked like. I mean, first of all, that they got here to begin with, it was kind of remarkable, and then it looked like Montana State was, in control, not sweating at all. But Sac State came back, and they almost came all the way back, and because of how this tournament has gone, you and I know I did, and I think you had kind of alluded to it too. It's like, oh my God, it's going to happen. They're going.
Montana just won. It just showed up.
Oh, wow, like Montana just won. So we've got the rivals in the championship game late tomorrow night. So it means that we'll be on late tomorrow night, but a late tip very much we're staying up for. So despite all of the carnage, I'm kind of excited about this one.
I am too. Montana State has won back-to-back Big Sky tournament championships. I'm sorry. Yeah, had one back-to-back, and then and Montana, perennial power here. This should be a good game. I agree with you. I'm going to go Montana State. I'm going to take the mild upset.
I'm taking the Grizz. I got to take the Grizz.
Slika.
a perennial power, but this is actually the first time in 5 years that Montana is going to be in the Big Sky championship game. And as you just noted, Montana State's been in at least a championship game for 3 of the past 4 years, but I'm going Bobcats in this one.
All right.
Ooh.
Will this one last conference that was in action today. Um, it was a first round day in the Metro Atlantic. Let's start with the first two games there. Canisius, no problem at all really with Mount St. Mary's, while Iona Manhattan, uh, you know,
Down to
Manhattan
the
just
wire.
Manhattan missed free throws like crazy in the last minute.
Yeah.
They really had including two free throws with a chance to tie it at the last minute. They missed both of them. Well, the second one was in purpose, but still,
Yeah.
brings just a you know end of Manhattan season. A little disappointing the way it ended.
Yeah, to lose like that against a rival in a game that they probably feel like they should have won and would have won had they done the little stuff like hit the free throws, but that's one of the reasons they're 10th. Iona moving on. Now, what happened today? I mean, every game got off to a late start.
What they do is they play the three women's first round
Yes,
games, followed by the three men's. One of the women's games went overtime, and as a result, everything was running an hour late. So here we are at
because how
12:50
long was the
a.m.
overtime? Good grief.
There must have been some long games in there also, but for whatever reason, everything was running at least an hour late. We're approaching 1 a.m. Siena and Niagara are locked in a close game, 5-point game late as we record this. If it goes final before the end of the show, we'll jump back over here to talk about what happened. If not, we'll discuss it tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll discuss
But
it tomorrow.
but tomorrow there's two quarterfinals and they are set. They're the Quinnipiac Canisius and the Fairfield Iona games. Anyhow, the Niagara Siena gate winner won't play till Thursday. But Slika, what do you think about Fairfield Iona, Quinnipiac Canisius tomorrow?
Well, I had teased it, was it last night? I do think Iona's capable of winning the tournament here, and I will go ahead and pick them to upset Fairfield right here. And I do think Quinnipiac will probably get at least one win before they fall prone to an upset against either the winner of the Riders St. Peter's matchup.
I kind of agree with that assessment. I think it happened. Griggs, you picked Fairfield to win the thing, so
Yeah. So naturally, I think Iona will beat them tomorrow. But I mean, sure, if you want Fairfield to do it the easy way. No, I'm going chalk, Fairfield and Quinnipiac.
and Quinnipiac.
This has been a tournament where chalk goes to die since they moved to Atlantic City.
Right. It's very true.
We have a lot of conferences starting tomorrow, so try to go a little bit quickly through all this.
Yeah.
It is
Oh,
first round day in the Big East tournament. Butler, Xavier, Providence, Georgetown, Villanova, DePaul. Stalika, how about your Musketeers and how about the other two games?
Well, I think Xavier's running out of healthy bodies, but they should have enough in the tank where they can probably get at least a win against Butler to salvage a little pride. But that would just be delaying the inevitable when they run into UConn at high noon on Thursday. But I've teased it before. Georgetown has had quite a few close calls, and I do think they can actually pull the upset against a Providence team that will really be sweating if that happens.
let me echo what Stalika just said. I'm kind of with him on this. And, if that happens, how much more could the Providence fan base possibly dislike Ed Cooley if he's responsible for knocking them out of the bubble? But he's right. Georgetown has had some close calls. They have been playing down the stretch, and I get the feeling that they're going to come out and just sort of make this their moment. Like, this is our chance to let's get this one postseason win type of deal and end on a high note.
One team that's not going to end a high note is DePaul. Even though Villanova cannot afford to lose this game at all, and they might need to beat Marquette also, but I don't see any shot that them gets in that game. But
let's be honest, that's going to be a televised scrimmage for 2 hours.
Yeah, it pretty much would be.
Real quick, who wins this event? I think it's UConn.
Yes.
Slika.
I do not think it's UConn easily. I actually think this is the year that Creighton finally breaks through. Creighton is actually a bit of a tricky matchup for the Huskies for whatever reason, and I could see Seton Hall or St. John's giving the Huskies a bit of a scare in the semifinal round.
Okay, I don't agree with you, but okay. Big Ten, it is first round game day. We have my
Oh, you
Rutgers
didn't want us
Scarlet.
agreeing.
Yeah.
We've got my Rutgers Scarlet Knights going up against Maryland. We got the Penn State Michigan game.
Big football day, Penn State, Michigan tomorrow.
I don't think my Rutgers team's been playing awful lately. I think Maryland and Penn State both advance. But I think the bigger question is going to be who wins the Big Ten tournament. Sleek, let me start with you on this one.
I think it's going to be Purdue who ultimately ends up winning the tournament. But I think the real suspense for the Boilers is how far will they go in the big dance that's going to be coming up pretty soon. Of course, the other question is going to be how will bubblish teams like Michigan State, Iowa, and will Wisconsin finally get off the ropes here?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Riggs, who are you
tomorrow's a
picking?
big day in this conference.
Who are you picking
Not
to
tomorrow,
win
but the day after tomorrow.
Who are you picking to win the tournament, Griggs?
I'm gonna go with Purdue just because I think they're so much better than everybody else. But you sometimes wonder if a team knows they're a 1 seed and they are, do they sort of take it easy a little bit? Is there a sense of urgency at all? Or because even when you lose, you just sort of shrug and you're like, okay, we've got another couple days off.
I'm going to do something crazy here. I hate to do it. I am going to pick Purdue to win this, but the team they're going to be in the finals, and I hate to do it, is going to be Ohio State.
Don't say Ohio State. Oh, you said it. Oh,
I think Ohio State makes that run, and I hate to say it, but I think Ohio State ends up in the NCAA tournament when that happens.
so their path is Iowa, Illinois.
Illinois and Nebraska or Indiana, possibly at an upset, but
Or Michigan. Might be Michigan.
no, it's not going to be Michigan. Pac-12 tournament first round day: Washington, USC, UCLA, Oregon State, Cal, Stanford, Utah, Arizona State. I don't think Utah is seriously on the bubble anymore, so I don't think there's any meaning to these games. But Griggs, you see any upsets in terms of seedings?
No, we got the Stanford Cal rivalry for one more time as a Pac-12 game. I guess that's kind of neat. I don't really see any upsets. Maybe USC over Washington, but no.
Who wins the event then?
Wazoo.
Wazoo, Stalika.
I think it's going to be very difficult for Arizona to beat Wazoo twice, and I'm not sure Wazoo even gets to the finals because I think Colorado is going to be the team that actually gets to the championship game on the bottom half of the bracket.
That's
Now,
a good pick too. Yeah, I like that.
but I would say I could see UCLA making Arizona sweat a little bit in that semifinal because I don't see Oregon beating the Bruins right now.
I'm taking Colorado to win this thing. I'm taking them to beat
Interesting.
Arizona in the finals, but I'm going to take Colorado. SEC, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Missouri, Sleeka. How
You
excited
can-
are you about these two games? You could have these on 3 screens, right?
Well, I'm either that or I'll probably be drowning out my sorrows if Butler ends up winning the Big East opener. But then again, it's will Missouri finally win at least one SEC game? I
They
doubt
could,
it with Georgia being involved.
they could join Pacific and Cal Poly, who've also finished without conference wins, and DePaul, who's probably going to finish without a conference win tomorrow. Also, Missouri will join that pack if they lose this game.
Yeah, Missouri could lose this one, but they're still like a country mile behind DePaul in the Stallings race.
Yeah, the race for the worst power conference team, that is going to be DePaul almost without a doubt. Griggs, who wins the SEC tournament?
it could be any number of teams. I'm very, very tempted to pick Florida. I shouldn't, but I'm going to.
Okay, you're going to pick Florida. I'm going to
Yeah.
pick Tennessee. And Sleeka, you're going to pick?
Kentucky.
All right. 3 different teams here. That means Auburn's going to win it.
Yeah, probably so. Or Alabama.
Alabama. Right. Mountain West Conference. It is first round day. Wyoming, Fresno State, New Mexico Air Force is the only 2 games on the schedule. Correct, Griggs?
Let's see. Well, San Jose State is the class of the league. Again, another top 10 finish under head coach Tim Miles, and you just got to love what he's doing there.
Well,
Colorado
this will be a
State, San Jose
live stream
State.
exhibition for Colorado State.
Very important game for New Mexico here. They are very bubblicious. They lose to Air Force. They're going to be done.
Again, If they
Again,
yes.
yeah, they're definitely going to be done. But after we get through today, I think we
Well,
have seven, assuming Colorado State and New Mexico both win, 7 out of the 8 teams here are really have a shot to win this event. This is wide open.
I
I
think all 8 do. Who do you think doesn't?
the Wyoming Fresno State
Oh,
winner.
okay. The Wyoming, correct. I agree.
Okay. Uh, I so I don't know who to pick, but I'm gonna I'm gonna say Boise State. I just have a feeling on them.
Yeah, I like how they've been playing. I think they've been undervalued. I think they can certainly do well in this. It's UNLV is one of those teams that is probably playing for their NCAA tournament lives, whereas no one else really is. And it's at home, and they've been exceptionally good, especially at home. Uh, so I'm also going to pick Boise State, Chad.
Sleeka, what do you think about this event?
Rebels.
You're
That's a
going
t-
Vegas.
Yeah.
Rebels. Even though that's going to be a
Wrong.
tough draw
Okay.
with San Diego State and Utah State on their half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have 3 tough games they have to get through. Um, by the way, I don't think any of us is picking any upsets in the games tomorrow. I
No.
mean, other than Wyoming Fresno State kind of being a coin flip game.
Yeah.
Um, it is first round day in the American. I mean, look at these 2 games: Wichita State Rice and Temple against UT San Antonio. The I mean, I could not care less who wins these 2 games. I gotta honestly admit it.
Yeah,
Uh,
Wichita State Rice. Rice is a fine school, and Wichita State has some good recent history. And
San Antonio's a beautiful city,
yeah, San
great city.
Antonio is a beautiful city. Temple's in Philadelphia. Who likes that place?
Uh, how about who wins this entire event here? Um, with we've got South Florida's the 1 seed. Florida Atlantic, though, is the only team completely inside the bubble. Memphis still believes they have a shot at an at-large bid somewhere there along the way as well. Who wins it? Sleeka, let you go first.
Well, first of all, let me say I would not be shocked if UTSA actually pulls off a couple of upsets. They've been a thorn in the side of teams like Florida Atlantic, even South Florida to a degree, as well as Memphis. I think they might actually get as far as the quarterfinals before eventually bowing out. But I think as far as who wins this one, I know we've been getting high on South Florida. I could also see Memphis making a run, but I am going to go with the Bulls in this one.
You're in South Florida. I'm going South Florida too. Griggs, can you make it unanimous?
I am. I will say this. I like that. I think this UAB team has been playing fairly well recently, and that
Like
once
their
we
second
get,
half against Memphis, they played really well in that one.
yeah, and well, maybe not entirely well, but I don't like once we get sort of once we sift through some of the garbage. By the time this gets down to the quarterfinals, I think this is a very compelling, exciting tournament. North Texas is capable of playing at a high level. SMU has good metrics. And UAB Memphis, that's a fun game. And so, there's only really one snoozer, it looks like, if the chalk holds by the time we get down to the quarters. So as crappy as tomorrow is, and is not, the day after that, not much better. Friday, this is a good tournament.
I agree with you there. I think
Yeah.
this conference does get better as we go along here.
Yeah.
Let's move things along to the Big West Conference. It is opening round day there with UC Riverside, Bakersfield, and UC Santa Barbara, Cal State, Northridge. And any comments at all on these games, Greg? You got 3 seconds.
The Gauchos have underperformed. I do think they win tomorrow, though.
Who wins the tournament?
Eaters.
Sleeka?
We might as well call this the rivalry generator bracket right here. But
Yeah.
But as far as
Long Beach, if we get that Long Beach Irvine semifinal, that'd be great.
Yeah. The
or even a Rivervine semifinal.
Yeah.
But my guess is it's going to be Irvine right here. I don't see anyone upsetting the Eaters.
I'm taking Jim Less's UC Davis team. I think I think they pull off that upset in the championship over Irvine.
Well,
I'm calling it right now.
That would be exciting. God, he's done a good job with them.
He really has. I'm taking them. I don't like Hawaii in this tournament. I don't think Hawaii wins a single game. I think Davis and Santa Barbara meet in the semifinal, but that's getting a little
Yeah.
in depth here. We'll talk about that tomorrow night.
Uh-huh.
Whack! First round day. Same table ladder
Woohoo!
format. Utah Valley against California Baptist and SFA against Abilene Christian in an old Southland rivalry there in the bottom
Yeah.
half. Uh, any thoughts on these two games? Sleeka, you get to go these. Do they take these two?
This could be a bit of a dangerous bracket for Grand Canyon right here. Their first matchup probably going to be against Seattle. This is one of the teams that ended up beating the Lopes. And if you look who'd be facing in the championship game, if they go up against Tarleton, that's not going to be an easy one. But at the end of the day, I do think Grand Canyon's going to end up winning this tournament.
Okay, well, first of all, I asked you about tomorrow's games. He didn't answer that question. So Griggs, any thoughts on tomorrow's games?
No, not really.
Okay,
I think
good.
the winners of tomorrow's games
Uh,
will lose on Thursday.
Second of all, quick note here. If it ends up being Grand Canyon Tarleton in the championship game, it is a meaningless championship game in terms of the automatic bid. Grand Canyon will have locked it up no matter what. Because if Tarleton is ineligible, they win this event, Grand Canyon gets the bid. So if you want a meaningful championship game, you got to root for Tarleton to lose its semifinal. Second of all,
Chad, we're also
Griggs,
talking about a double court storming here.
a
Yes.
double court storming, all that. Griggs, I got the Lopes. Who do you have?
Tarleton over the Lopes, and the Lopes
Really?
go. Yeah.
And the Lopes go anyhow.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun, actually. Wouldn't
Yeah.
mind that. Everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a banner at least. MEAC, it is the first two quarterfinals tomorrow. We got the Norfolk State 1-8 game, and we got the NC against Coppin State, and we got the NC Central Maryland Eastern Shore 2-7 game. I'm not calling any upsets, neither one of these.
No, this is a tournament that's seen more than its share of carnage over the years, but I think the chalk holds tomorrow.
I think it holds tomorrow. I think it holds all the way. I got Norfolk State cruising in this one.
Me too.
Stalika.
I think chalk holds for one round, but I think Howard's going to end up upsetting Norfolk State and actually win the conference tournament here.
Ooh,
All right.
interesting. Yeah.
One more. 1-8 game and the 2-7 game tomorrow in the SWAC. It is Grambling against Alabama State and Alcorn State against Alabama A&M. And let me throw this out here. Last game of the regular season, Grambling went to Alabama State, lost there in double overtime. That got Alabama State into this tournament.
Yeah.
But I think Grambling's going to be ready. And I think we do not have any upsets in tomorrow's games.
Well, I'm a
actually, you know
little-
what? Maybe the 2-7 game. Alabama A&M might upset Alcorn State.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
I
No?
don't. I don't think.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think Grambling wins tomorrow, and Friday's actually Thursday's a pretty good day.
Southern Bethune game, I'm really circling. We talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But who wins this event, Griggs?
As much as I'm pulling for Grambling, I think it's going to be Southern.
Wrong answer. Sleeka, who wins this event?
All that matters is I just want the announcers from Mississippi Valley State
That's-
calling this event.
Yeah,
Also
that's
wrong answer. The winner of this event is the same winner who wins this event every year. Doesn't matter where they are as long as they make the top 8. Texas Southern's got this one already. It's over.
I don't want to pick them because I know you're right.
But it will be bonus points in the Jerome if they do win it.
There we
Yeah.
go. Bonus points. That's it. The Metro Atlantic game still hasn't gone final yet, so we're not going to head back to that. Instead, let's head over to the Hoops HD Survival Board. This is
Yeah.
our list of how many teams are left alive with a chance to win it all. Heading into the day, there were 214 teams with a chance to win the national championship. As a result of today's games, down under 200, 194. That'll drop to, actually, it's already at 193. It's going to drop to 192 in the Metro Atlantic. So by tomorrow morning, 192 will be left here.
Yeah.
We dropped under 200, though.
Right. So I mean, again, on your seed list, start ranking all 1 through 192. Everybody that's still playing.
There are a lot of teams in different categories here, though, Griggs. What does all this stuff mean?
Well, we've got the auto bids. Those are the tournament winners and teams that have already locked up bids. We have the locks, which are teams that could lose in their conference tournaments and still get in no matter what. Under consideration, teams that, depending on when if they don't win the auto bid, they have a chance. And then we've got everybody else losing. You're screwed. Yeah,
or eliminated already.
or already eliminated because they've already lost.
And we do
And
this as a service for the selection
service
committee.
to the selection committee. We help them sort this way they get it sorted out. They arrive tomorrow. They're going to have their pasta dinner. We do this for them so they can enjoy their food and not have to worry about selecting the team. They can just come to this board for most of that.
Right, right. So they don't have to
Yeah.
sit there and say and spend hours on
Yeah.
whether or not Winthrop should get an at-large bid. This tells them no, Winthrop is out already. They don't
Right.
have to spend hours on whether or not Longwood should be in. Longwood
Yeah.
is in. They want an auto bid. Charleston is in. They want an auto
Right.
bid.
And it's like you got the committee room. You've seen it. They got the TVs, they got the ice cream machine, they've got the pasta dinners. I mean, they don't have time to do all this, so that's why
Right.
we do it.
They do a little bit of work. We see
Yeah.
Michigan State up there in green.
Yeah.
Unless we decide to change it for them, we might move them to blue or not. We'll see what happens if they make
Yeah.
it part of the Big Ten tournament. But if they stay right there in green, they're gonna have to do a little bit of work and decide on Michigan State. So we give them
Yeah.
a handful of teams to do so they can feel good for themselves.
And you know what do they do when they look at this and a team's in green and you know that they want to call us. They're like, well, what do we do? It's in green, and it's like, now listen, you've had enough ice cream. You need to decide for yourself.
Okay, let's jump back over here. Let's go to our here we go. Top 10 things to see at college basketball games by Hoops HD. There was intense voting on this that did not
Yeah.
happen. We've been counting them down for a while now. We already had a whole bunch. We had our 4 honorable mentions coming already. They were the Hornets Nest Trophy,
Yes.
the Kennesaw Banana,
Yeah.
the Keggy the Keg,
I love seeing these every night.
the Crooked Sidelines in Bangor, Maine,
Yeah.
the Detroit Buckeye.
Yeah. One of my faves.
Along with a pissed off guy sitting right next to him.
Yeah.
Rocco Miller at every
Yeah,
single game.
Every game. He'll be at the Pac-12 tournament amongst others.
The Great
Yeah.
Red Panda, our favorite halftime show.
Yeah.
Caleb and Andre, the Mississippi Valley State announcers.
There's
And Andre, that's game!
Go ahead.
I was looking for something today for a post I was writing, and there are multiple like other awesome calls on YouTube. I could have gotten lost for hours. These guys are fantastic.
Yesterday, we saw at number 6 refs watching TV. You can see these at
Yes.
every game. One of our favorite things to sit there and watch.
Yeah.
We just love watching people watch TV on
Yeah,
TV.
it's so good. Yeah.
Let's go to our number 5, though. Number 5 thing to see at a college basketball game. Little drum roll here. It is the Louisville halftime dog, and we have, for the first time ever, we have video.
Yeah.
That's been pretty much emblematic of Louisville for the past 2 seasons.
That was a true video of the Louisville halftime show. The dog was catching a frisbee, and then it left a deposit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you gotta go. And I do want to say, Chad, that I think that this is appropriately ranked ahead of refs watching TV. I'd much rather watch a dog crap on Louisville's court than
Let's watch it again, then.
watch TV. Yes, there it is. And that is one of the bigger reactions that we got from a Louisville fan base all year long. It was a rough year. It's been a rough 2 years.
Rough 2 years. This was actually the end of
Yeah.
last year, but
Yeah.
that happened. But let's pull this down here. Go to any final thoughts. Stalika.
This probably seemed inevitable with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, but the Big 12 conference has now agreed that both the men's and women's conference tournaments are going to be in Kansas City at the T-Mobile Center through 2031. So I'm sure it will be a fun destination for what will eventually be, I believe, 16 programs that will be in the Big 12 with the Arizona schools along with Colorado and Utah getting on board for next year.
Quick note here. Niagara did beat Siena tonight. 67-65 was a good close game all the way throughout, but Niagara
Yeah.
does advance. The 6th seed knocks off the 11th seed in a close one in the Metro Atlantic. Greg, do you want to finish off the show?
Yes, a little bit of a self plug here. There is a speculative bracket if as to what the field would look like if it were expanded to 80 teams. There's been talk of going out to 80 or even as many as 96. And what we've learned, at least I think, is that we should not expand the tournament to 80 teams.
Exactly. On that note, I do want to thank everyone for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow night with another video notebook. And coming Thursday, we're going to start with our mock committee updates as well. But on behalf of John Sleek and David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you again tomorrow night.